Before any scream was heard, London was already wrapped in a fog that seemed to conceal far more than its streets. On bitter nights, the city lost its edges, and every corner felt like a promise of disappearance. The cold slipped through coats, through ill-fitted windows, and into the minds of those still trying to find their way home. By day, it was a mighty industrial capital, yet by night it became a machine built to confuse and consume. London's fog was never just weather, but coal, soot, and the breath of a city burning without rest. Anyone walking those streets could see only so far, and not far enough to trust their own direction. The modern city promised order, yet the moment the light faded, London returned to the realm of instinct and dread. And it was in that setting that anonymity became a weapon more powerful than any knife. No one needed to vanish forever. Sometimes it was enough to disappear for a few seconds into the fog. The narrow alleys of Whitechapel pressed in on the breath, the footsteps, and every clear chance of escape. There, poverty was not merely background, but part of the machinery that made the city so exposed. When a city gathers misery, darkness, and haste in one place, terror needs very little in order to hide. What was most unsettling was not the thought of a monster, but the realization that he could look entirely ordinary. In the fog, the city erased distinctions, and any face might be the last another person would ever see. That is why London did not seem only dangerous, it seemed complicit in all that could never be proved. The London fog turned distance into doubt, silence into menace, and routine into paranoia. But the harshest truth is that the city was never empty. It was simply too full to truly see anyone. In that excess of bodies, the individual became a detail, and details were the first thing the fog erased. The police could patrol the streets, but they could not patrol the invisible space between one lamp and the next. In London, darkness did not begin where the light ended, but where sight could no longer be trusted. That is how an entire city learned to fear not only crime, but the night itself. And the more the horror was spoken of, the more imagination supplied what no one could clearly see. Terror spread because the city offered the perfect stage: crooked streets, concentrated misery, and shadows with no witnesses. But there is a more troubling truth here. The fear came not only from the killer, but from the structure of the city itself. London produced confusion with the same efficiency with which it produced smoke, wealth, and neglect. The fog leveled everything, yet it was in the forgotten districts that it exacted its cruelest cost. Those who lived there did not fear the extraordinary, they feared the ordinary, because that was where horror found its shelter. The cruelest thing of all is that the city taught its people to carry on even after fear had become part of the landscape. Behind the myth lay something even more disturbing. London was too vast to protect and too small to forget. With every bitter night, the fog returned to the city the same question: who, in truth, was hiding whom? Perhaps the most infamous crimes scarred the memory, but it was the atmosphere that taught London to fear itself. Because when a city learns to hide its own outlines, it also learns to hide its guilt. The fog killed no one on its own, but it offered violence the perfect stage on which to seem inevitable. And that is why, long after the crimes, it still feels possible to sense London breathing fear through smoke and cold.